You're cool. You suck. Oh, you really suck. You're the absolute worst. You're pretty good. You're cool. You. Oh, chef's kiss.
Welcome back in a much requested video today. We're going to go through a lot of our gear. We normally don't like ranking things. There's a lot of personal opinion here, but we're going to go through a lot of our gear. Start with the absolute worst. Talk about some things that are kind of average and end with the best.
You gotta do the plug. You know the words.
Oh, like and subscribe.
What else?
Hit the bell.
Yeah, and check out the podcast.
Oh, check out the podcast. I guess the podcast is separate.
What are you working on?
Wouldn't you like to know?
What's your favorite piece of backpacking gear?
Chair.
Really? No hesitation, huh?
I mean, it's like actual gear.
What's your second favorite piece? Wine?
I was gonna say that, but that's not gear. That's obviously where I thought went.
All right, let's start with pieces of gear that are the worst, quite frankly. And some of these we still use because we don't really have any better option. I don't know why. Maybe something good will come in the future. But starting off, and we don't use these anymore, and you know, we have ranted about these forever. Titanium stakes, the absolute worst, flimsy, break, super expensive, not worth the weight savings. Now, this next one, we were just so excited when these guys came out. Oh, it worked. It never works. We were so excited when these came out. You know, Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg, they were all kind of like, these are the best things. And when we saw the design of the long neck, we thought, oh, amazing for cat can alcohol stoves when you really got to get in there. Amazing for lighting fires when you really need that extra reach in there, especially in the hot tent. And it's working right now, but we've taken these on every single trip with us, and they have never worked at elevation. They have never worked when it's kind of wet. They just have really not worked well for us in the field. And a lot of people have contacted us after we started talking about these and had similar experiences. So great at home, got yourself a candle lighter, but these have just failed continuously for us when we've actually brought them out in the field, which is a shame because this is a good design there, Martha. Last piece of gear that's the absolute worst, and I just stopped using it up until last year, is the helium rain jacket from Outdoor Research. We've talked about this one forever. It's got its place for me as a running jacket. Like I go out and run in it and it's good, but it absolutely soaks through maybe after 15 minutes. It's not like super light. It's not super heavy. Now, one good use of it is it actually is pretty warm because it doesn't breathe really well, but it's actually a pretty good like warmth layer if you need it because it's light and it's kind of windproof, but as a rain jacket, just the absolute worst. So last year I went ahead and finally replaced it. I got a really nice Patagonia jacket. I'll put the name down here in the description. Twice as expensive, a little bit lighter, but 50 times more waterproof. And when you're out there on the elements, that's what I care about. All right, moving along. You know, we had to get the just worst ones out of the way. We're moving on to just items that are just bad. Not the worst, you know, slightly better than worst, but not average, just kind of bad. Now here in this category, we get into some subjectivity because some of these items, they're not necessarily bad items, but they're bad for a backpacking item. The first item is the Nemo Luxury. I think it's the Nemo Pillow Luxury Pillow. I'll put it up. I'll put the name here. I saw this pillow. I was super excited about it. I have a couple Nemo pillows. I have a smaller one and then this bigger one. And I read the reviews. They're like, this is like the king of camping pillows, like the super luxurious camping pillows. And while that is true, it's just simply not worth the weight and the bulk for what it is. It weighs a pound. It takes up as much space as an Nalgene or like as my sleeping pad. And for the weight and for the amount of space it takes up, it's really not a great pillow for backpacking. It's just a little too big. It is not uncomfortable, and I do like the design of it from a comfort standpoint. And it's a great car camping pillow and a great, just if you don't care about weight and you want something, it is a good pillow. But for backpacking, it's really just not great. It's too big, it's too bulky, and I don't like it for backpacking. Next item that's just bad, and we used these for years, and just bad for backpacking, is anything smart wool. I'm talking socks, I'm talking base layers, and the reason being they do not stand up to the true test of backpacking. Every smart wool sock I've had is worn out. I've had their long underwear, that's worn out. I've had some of their running items, those have worn out. So they're really, really comfortable. They honestly are really, really comfortable, and they're really, really warm, and they work well, but they're just not durable at all. And when you're out there backpacking, durability does matter, and it's something that we just have had issue after issue with when it comes to smart wool. Next item that is just bad, and I could have put this in the worst category, but I felt like being nice. I've talked about this before. Go back, watch some of our Appalachian Trail videos. The Gossamer Gear LT5 trekking poles.
Well,
second gear failure.
Wow, that's an expensive break.
Gossamer Gear, the $40 trekking poles I used for 3 years would have withstood this.
Did you get it caught in a rock?
No, I just planted down on it.
And it
just snapped.
You have to order a new section.
Yeah. These things broke after 30 miles. They're $200. The only reason they're not in the worst category is because if they weren't so finicky and so unreliable, they're cool poles. They're super comfortable. I like the 3-pole design. They collapse really easily. But myself and a lot of people I know have had issues with them breaking after 30, 40, 50 miles. Whereas I've got, a pair of $30 poles that I've put like 500 miles on and they're still going fine. So they're bad because they're unreliable, they break easily, and they're not warranted. But the only reason they're not in the worst is because if you took away that, they are super comfortable and they're super light and they do collapse down really well. All right, let's stop being negative here. We're gonna move from the bad to the average. The not bad average, just a First, just not bad average is my cat can stove. So I've got one of these, simply made cat can stoves with a little wick. It's a Zelf Fancy Feast stove. That's the actual brand. It's all around pretty average. It's super light. It's super cheap. No issues there. The only issues is with alcohol stoves in general. They can be super annoying to deal with. They can be finicky. Especially in the winter, they can be a pain to use. And, I've gotten accustomed to enjoying the ability to modulate a flame on a canister stove, and I do miss that. So this is, it's just not bad. It's average, it works, it's cheap, it has its place, it's super light. So yeah, cat can stove, like a Next item, just not bad, average, doesn't come with me on any trip. On every trip, it comes on some trips, but it's got its place. This is a Goal Zero Lighthouse mini lantern. Once again, it was not that cheap and it's really pretty heavy, but it does double as a charging bank and it does have a dimmable switch. And if you have this thing on the lowest setting, it will last a while. It only comes with me in the hot tent because it's nice to have a lantern on the inside of the hot tent, or car camping. Otherwise, it's just not coming because it's too heavy and power banks are way, way lighter. And I don't need a lantern usually. So it's not bad. Goal Zero products in general, I've never had problems with. So yeah, another item, pretty average, not bad. It's my Kershaw knife. I'll put the name, I think it's the Kershaw Air. It's not bad. Once again, knives, Andy, God forbid, he relents on these. Knives have their place. I used to not take a knife. Now I take a knife. I find myself using it more than I don't, but this it's kind of heavy. But knives in general are we'll take it. It's, But the Kershaw, not bad. Not as super expensive, not super heavy. Lastly, is a silky saw. I have a silky Gomboy right here. Once again, this is more speaking to saws in general than this specific saw. We used to bring a saw all the time. If you're not using a hot tent and it's not the winter, I don't think you need a saw at all. But we've now switched to chainsaws, so we just got even lazier. But these silky saws, they're not super expensive, they're not super heavy, they're fairly sharp, There's a bunch of variety. You can get them on Amazon. They're just not bad. I mean, if you need a saw, definitely something to check out. But unless you're going winter backpacking, unless you're going a hot tent, unless you need to process tons of wood, you don't really need them. All right, we got the bad stuff out of the way, the stuff out of the way. Now we're gonna start talking about good stuff. And we also have awesome stuff to talk about, but good stuff. This is stuff we've been using for years. It generally comes with us on every trip, and we would generally recommend. First, I just gotta say, all my quilts, they're good. I got a Big Agnes Sidewinder SL sleeping bag. I've got a UGQ sleeping bag. I've got a UGQ 40 degree quilt. I've got a few underquilts from UGQ and Enlighten Equipment. All my quilts are good. Some of them amazing, but you can't go wrong with a UGQ, Enlighten Equipment, Big Agnes, hammock gear. They're all good. They're all solid. Most of them are reasonably priced. I'm not going to break down every single one. We have some underquilt videos, but all my top quilts, underquilts, and the one sleeping bag I had, they're great. I have a whole video on the Big Agnes Sidewinder. You can check that out. But I would place all my quilts in the good category. And if you're someone looking for a quilt, we have a bunch of videos on quilts. You can't go wrong with any of those brands. Next, a good solid item. They don't even make this anymore. We have been using for 10 years now is my MSR Pocket Rocket stove. It's light. They make a Pocket Rocket 2 now. That's why I can't get the original Pocket Rocket. But it's light, pretty cheap. It has worked flawlessly for 10 years now. Never had problems with it. Love it. And if you're using a canister stove, you can't go wrong with MSR products at all. And you check out the Pocket Rocket 2. I haven't used it. Sam uses it. It looks pretty good. But the MSR Pocket Rocket, just a good product. We talk about these all the time. These Nightcore, NU25, NU30 headlamps. They are great. Cheap, light, USB rechargeable, high lumens. Some have the option for a red light. You can't go wrong with these headlamps. A great product all around. Check it out. All right, now we're at the cream of the crop. We're at the awesome products. So I had to think a lot about these. These are products we've used a ton. We would absolutely recommend, and they kind of check all the boxes for backpacking. First product, I had to get a sleeping pad in there. The Nemo Tensor is an awesome product. It is light. It is comfortable. Nemo is a great company. You're getting a lifetime warranty. I have put 50 nights on that thing. I have a hole in that thing. I've got videos on it. The Nemo Tensor is an awesome sleeping pad. Next, every product from Dutchware is awesome, but we are loving his new Banyan Bridge product. We've used the original Banyan Bridge hammock a lot. We now have his 2.0 version of the product. It is awesome. It's just kind of a plug for Dutchware in general. All his products are awesome. If you're in the market for a bridge hammock, check out the Banyan Bridge. If you're in the market for a non-bridge hammock, check out something like the Chameleon. Dutchware's products are great. Awesome, and couldn't recommend them enough. Okay, these last three are really awesome. Before I get to the shelters, the Sawyer Squeeze. I almost put this in the good category, but I was really thinking about how much I've been using these for like 6 years, and they're just amazingly reliable, great flow rate, super easy to maintain, not expensive, not heavy. You can back flush them easily. And after 6 or 7 years, there really hasn't come a product that has replaced this easily. And we're into water filters, but a ton of filters have come on the market, and the Sawyer Squeeze just continues to be awesome. All right, we're getting to the real good ones. So next, awesome products. There's kind of 2 for 1 here. The Z-Packs Ultiplex and the Z-Packs Duplex. We've used both a bunch. We have both of them. They're amazing products. The only issue with them is they're absurdly expensive, but worth the cost. The Duplex, I would probably recommend the Duplex if you can spare 4 or 5 ounces over the Ultiplex, because you just get a lot more room. But the Z-Packs Duplex, super light, super easy to set up for using 2 trekking poles, and it's got double vestibule. It's just amazing. And then the Ultiplex, if you want something a little bit smaller and you're taller like me and you want to go bare bones, like 1 pound, you just get an amazing shelter, and I love it. Okay, I've saved the best for last. I think the most awesome product I have in the arsenal, both from the same company. One, I'm just going to say any pack from Light AF. Amazing, awesome. I have multiple. I've got one made out of Ultra. I've got a super light one. All his packs are great. But the best product I have is from Light AF. And it's a huge tease because he doesn't make it anymore, is the Light AF tarp. This tarp is absolutely amazing. It's light. It's got doors. It's cut perfectly. It's easy to set up. It's beautiful. And it sucks that he doesn't make it anymore. But it is without a doubt, it's the one product we have that people get really envious of, because he did a run of these like 2 or 3 years ago and he hasn't made them since. So the Light AF tarp, awesome product. And we're stands for Light AF. Anything from him is amazing. All right, that is it. That's most of the stuff we use. I didn't really talk a lot about packs, didn't talk a lot about clothing, but we went through a lot of gear items, started with the absolute worst and ending with the absolute best. So if you're in the market for any of these products, maybe this helps you make a decision, and we'll see you on the next one.